On tonight's CTV News, the New Zealand Transport Agency has a new program for learner drivers. A community advocate is calling for new commercial buildings to provide access for disabled people. And a Brougham Street landmark is gearing up for a new multi-million-dollar rebuild. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. A Labour Party candidate says it's blindingly obvious that the land in the Flockton Basin has a greater flood risk because it dropped as a result of the earthquakes. The comment comes after some Flockton Basin residents were told they would not be reimbursed by EQC for flood damage.
Flooding victim Jo Byrne has been shocked to learn her land doesn't meet the criteria for increased flood risk.
That's right. I had EQC come and visit me on behalf of other people in the Flockton cluster as well, to say that a lot of us won't be eligible for land payments, particularly under the increased flooding vulnerability status.
If EQC won't pay Jo out, she'll never be able to sell her home while the land is subject to flooding. A home that she's already had to abandon due to mould and high floodwaters during bad weather. Many of her neighbours' homes also won't be eligible for a land damage claim. This is because EQC's assessment of the property has shown it was already at risk of a 100-year flooding event. This means Jo Byrne and the rest of the Flockton cluster won't qualify.
I think many people would be surprised at this. You know, everybody has witnessed the ongoing flooding in the area as a direct result of the earthquake, and it's a little hard to see how they can divorce land claims from the actual reality of what's happening to people in the area.
About 9,000 other properties also fall into the same category, meaning they wouldn't be eligible for an EQC payout due to an increased flood risk. EQC has told the press it's possible the properties of those 9,000 owners will be affected by factors outside of EQC's cover. For example, there may be confusion about what areas have flooded due to increased flooding vulnerability damage and what areas have actually flooded due to other factors outside of EQC's cover. EQC is only responsible for flooding that has been made worse by earthquake damage on properties.
Well, we'll be reliant on the local council to actually remediate drainage issues in the area as a result of the earthquake. But EQC are basically saying it's got nothing to do with them.
The Earthquake Recovery Minister's office couldn't be reached for comment on the issue. However, Christchurch Central Labour candidate Tony Milne says it's obvious the land has dropped due to the earthquake, causing increased flood damage. He says Labour will, if needed, amend the law to make it clear that EQC must pay for earthquake damage when the land drops. Jo Byrne's only option left is to wait for the courts to decide.
And what we have to do now is actually wait for the legal process to take place, which is the declaratory judgment in late October, and that is our only hope of a fair outcome.
The Mayor's Flooding Task Force will report back to the Council next month with measures the Council can put in place as a temporary defence to flooding. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Despite bad weather, storms haven't affected Orion's financial situation.
Severe windstorms in the past year have caused rural power outages of up to several days, but that hasn't held Orion back. The Christchurch-based electricity company made a profit of $50 million this year, up $1 million on what they made last year. Orion's chief executive, Rob Jamieson, believes it shows the company is keeping costs under control with the rapidly progressing rebuild. Dealing with more businesses and residential connections as the rebuild gains pace. Orion has 10 times more contractors working on the network than it did pre-quake, and the company's assets are now valued at over $1 billion.
The New Zealand Transport Agency is funding a mentor program to help learner drivers, the first of its kind in the South Island. Emma Cropper was at the launch.
It's all about making roads safer, and for those sitting here, they're a new batch of drivers hoping to do just that. 18-year-old Cody Mitchell's been stuck on his learner licence for the past 2 years.
I've already done my restricted, but I failed it, so this will be a good opportunity to do it.
Cody has a long list of fines for breaching his licence conditions. In the past 2 months, he's been handed out over 4 fines. But this mentoring program will help him head in the right direction.
Pretty good to do it because I really need my restricted, because I'm pretty much always driving on my learners and I'm just over the top fines and it's no good. Just want to get out there and get a job.
The program is the first of its kind in the South Island, targeting the disadvantages learner drivers face when sitting their restricted licence. Student drivers will be mentored through the program over the next 12 weeks, attending 3 driving lessons with the AA, followed by extra lessons with their mentor.
I think they need to learn the basics right from the beginning and get no bad habits like perhaps I got into and now I've had to get out of again.
Lynn Himiona is a local resident who's put her hand up to mentor learner drivers, a program she believes is needed in today's society.
I've had my licence for many years and it was like one whip round the block and you got your licence, and there wasn't many cars on the road in those days, but now with the traffic and the speed of the cars, they really do need to have something.
Education has been a large focus of the New Zealand Transport Agency and the New Zealand Police. 2 years ago, the government made it harder to pass the test by introducing more complex driving scenarios. On average, just over half of those sitting the test pass, compared to an average of over 80% in recent years. Last year, Canterbury Police issued over 18,000 notices to drivers breaching the terms of their learners or restricted licences.
That's not going to work again this year, so we've got to jump in and do something about it. A program like this comes along, there's just so much value to it, so we totally buy into it.
The mentoring program is a partnership between the NZTA, Salvation Army, AA and New Zealand Police. Chevron is sponsoring $100,000 towards the program to help fund fuel costs for the project over the next 2 years.
I mean, the great thing about it is it involves the people from the community itself to pair up with students and make a real difference.
Canterbury Police are also doing their bit to educate learner drivers, launching an operation that will see teen drivers given a different kind of ticket. Drivers caught breaching the conditions of their licences will attend a seminar on road safety rather than the usual punishment of a $100 fine and the loss of 35 demerit points.
I mean, the big stick's not working. There's no point just keep doing that and keep fining people. They're just accruing fines and that's not doing anyone any good. So we're looking at other options.
Next week, these drivers will get behind the wheel as they become one step closer to being safer on Christchurch roads. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
A Christchurch City Council Community Board Deputy Chair wants the council to force the owners of all new commercial buildings to include disability access.
It's a bold plan. Spraden Hefker Community Board Deputy Chair Carolyn Potter wants all new builds to include access for disabilities, and if they don't, well, there'll be consequences.
In 10 years, this council will not deal with any organisation that's not disability accessible. You know, we have to do something like that.
After 14 years at the Human Rights Commission, campaigning for access is nothing new for Carolyn Potter. Now she's taking her experience working in the Commission to the City Council. Her notice of motion was discussed during this afternoon's Strategy and Planning Committee meeting. She wants to see older buildings converted to be accessible for anyone. Right now, only a few buildings need to provide access for people with disabilities.
And if you're not local government, and if you're not New Zealand government buildings, and if you're not a primary health care provider, and if you're not a bank, you can have a 2 or 3 story building without a lift. And we're building them everywhere.
This epic building is an epic example of how new builds aren't always completely accessible. Despite being branded as innovative and exciting, in this building, disabled people can only use the back door due to a lack of accessibility.
And it's a long time since the United States required blacks to go in the back door. And it's the equivalent. It's time we stop this nonsense. It's time we said that all our buildings, all our city, all the people we partner, our industry that looks to the future, all our shops, they'll be accessible.
Carolyn Potter lists businesses down Bailey Avenue and Birmingham Drive as examples of what not to do when building new.
And all those carpet sellers, all those TV sellers, all those bed sellers, all the way down, they have offices upstairs of lawyers and accountants and Lord knows what, that a person with a disability cannot access and cannot be employed in.
The Human Rights Commission is recommending accessible design is applied to the rebuild. CTV News will have further details on this tomorrow and will provide an update on whether the committee recommends to action Carolyn's notice of motion. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Still to come, taking GST off food has returned as an election issue.
Be immersed in the unique cultural highlights Germany has to offer every Tuesday night with Discover Germany. Tuesday at 7 p.m, right here on CTV.
Missed a show or want to watch it again? CTV is fitting in with your lifestyle. Be in control with CTV On Demand. Check out our website and follow the links, ctv.co.nz.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference more mobility makes.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
G'day, this is Fletch, your presenter of the TV show Classic Restos. It's the show where it's your chance to see completed restorations being shown, driven and enjoyed.
It's Māori Language Week. CTV News headed to CPIT to see how people are getting involved with the celebrations.
Aroha tia te reo, cherish the language, the theme for Māori Language Week, a time for celebrating the Māori culture and heritage. Encouraging the local community to get involved, the Christchurch Polytechnic Institute of Technology are celebrating with Māori weaving, art, stories, music, food and competitions. CPIT's Māori Engagement Officer, Manu Fata, says the purpose of these activities is to increase the awareness and use of the Māori language and culture. One particular highlight is the tā moko, the Māori tattoo.
The main difference to me between moko and the average tattoo is the meanings that we incorporate into each piece, each individual moko. So they all hold their own individual meanings that's unique to the individual. So yeah, to me that's what the difference is. Yeah.
Henari Brookings is one of the 3 talented artists giving tā mokos to willing participants at CPIT today. 25-year-old Daniel Hoskins is getting his first tā moko done today. A memorable moment for the tradesman. He believes it represents his whakapapa, where he's at now and where he's come from.
Represents where I come from and where they're all from, and which is Whangarei, Ngāpuhi up north. And there's a manaia on there, it's my brother, so he's always on my back, watching over me because he passed away a few years ago. So yeah.
18-year-old James Armstrong is a CPIT student and also getting his first tā moko. For James, he's created his own design and says it's about mana, being proud of his culture.
Not more what it represents, it's more my own design, so it's just something that I designed myself, and yeah.
The tā moko is an art form Henari Brookings holds close to his heart. Engraving heritage into people's skin is a part of the Māori culture.
Putting it into skin helps retain a lot of knowledge, history, and about Māori, about who we are. So yeah, it helps carry our culture.
Māori Language Week has been nationally celebrated every year since 1975. Pleased to see others getting actively involved in Māori culture, Henari Brookings says it's great to see, but for him, it's a celebration all day, every day.
The average New Zealander, might be able to understand the language a lot more, to help them understand our culture a lot more.
Holding the pride of the culture close to the hearts of the people, the Tau Moko is just one way CPIT is celebrating this important week. Aroha tia te reo, cherish the language. Joel Batista, CTV News.
It sounds good on paper, but a New Zealand First proposal to remove GST on food sold in supermarkets isn't swaying voters.
I think it's a fabulous idea, but I don't know if it's possible.
Would it sway you to vote for New Zealand First?
It's hard to say. If we succeeded, yeah, I think so.
That would be fine.
Would that help you out?
Well, it doesn't matter. People still need to spend money, isn't it?
It's credible.
Will it work? Will it sway you to vote for him?
No, it won't.
Probably a good idea. For me, anyway.
Would it sway you to vote for him, though?
Oh, he's okay.
You'd vote for him? You'd vote for New Zealand First?
Don't know.
Well, we have extra money for other stuff, wouldn't I? Food. Oh, well, it would be a big help to a lot of people, wouldn't it? Let's face it, we all eat. But then again, the government gets so much tax off it. I really don't know.
It'd shave 15% off you.
Actually, on basic foods, yes, so that nobody has to pay GST all the way along the line. It would make it a lot cheaper to buy in the shop.
I don't think it's necessary. We need all those billions.
Be good if it was like on vegetables and fruit and things like that. No, not really. Everyone has to pay GST. It's just part of living in New Zealand, isn't it?
Would it sway you to vote for New Zealand First?
Oh, no, I don't think so. But I think that's a good idea.
The much-loved Heathcote Community Facility is about to be demolished.
The Christchurch City Council is taking its first steps in replacing the popular earthquake-damaged Heathcote Community Centre and Library. The demolition of the Heathcote Valley Library will kick off on Monday, followed by the demolition of the Community Centre at a later date. After a period of consultation and design, a new replacement facility will be constructed in the Heathcote Valley. Instead of two separate buildings in different locations, the community centre and the library will be built on a single site. It will be a volunteer library and bookable meeting space underneath one roof, a one-stop shop for parents, children and the elderly. The $807,000 insurance payout for the two buildings will cover the demolition and the construction of the new combined facility. The Hagley Ferrymead Community Board will approve the final design.
Coming up, a new multi-million-dollar structure is planned for a distinctive Brougham Street landmark.
Be immersed in the unique cultural highlights Germany has to offer every Tuesday night with Discover Germany. Tuesday at 7 p.m, right here on CTV.
Blackwells has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwells your number one choice. Visit Blackwells today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn or online at blackwells.co.nz.
Come in and meet the locals at the Bush Inn Centre. Whether it's to grab a coffee on the go or to catch up with a friend over lunch or dinner, the Bush Inn Centre is the perfect place. With our unique range of shops, you'll find everything you're looking for and more. Our friendly locals are always happy to help. We have plenty of parking at the Bush Inn Centre, making your shopping experience just a little bit easier. So come in, meet the locals and shop Bush Inn. You'll find us on the corner of Riccarton and Waimari Roads.
Yuck, look at all this moss and lichen. I'm not getting up there, not in these heels. Time to call
Mossbuster.
Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. You can buy Mossbuster online for less than half the cost of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest, or Mossbuster can do it for you. Check out our website or call the Mossbuster crew for a free quote. Mossbuster, 0800 88 1000.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Drive It showcases the new arrivals to the motoring world, comparing and testing the latest models to discover which one is the best. Drive It, Sunday afternoons at 2:30, only on CTV.
Development of new multi-million-dollar facilities is underway for the Sisters of Nazareth. Emma Cropper was on site to check out how it's coming along.
It's a $70 million development that will see the Sisters of Nazareth back up and running.
Very exciting, really. It's been a very hard 3 years, and I think that this is it's given them a sense of hope, and of course our mission will restart again in Christchurch, which is very important to us.
The development will be built on the 8-hectare property in Sydenham. It'll include an 80-bed aged care hospital and rest home, as well as a dementia unit, convent and chapel.
I think it's enormously exciting for the sisters because this is their ministry in New Zealand, and I think for the people of Christchurch. I mean, we've all seen a community that's been battered by the earthquakes, and to see this sort of development re-emerge is exciting not only for the sisters, but I think for the Christchurch community as well.
The Sisters of Nazareth have been in Christchurch for more than 100 years. The Nazareth home name dates from the Order's early 1900s orphanage and later rest home that was built in the 1980s. But following the earthquake, they lost their convent, chapel and Nazareth House rest home.
It was an enormous loss. I think we were very fortunate in that none of the residents was hurt or seriously injured, so of course that's the most important thing.
Residents who called Nazareth House home at the time had to be evacuated within hours after the quake struck.
For all residents to have to be evacuated within 24 hours was traumatic for them and for their families. It's certainly been traumatic for the sisters and their loss of their ministry in Christchurch. But to be at a point now 3.5 years later where that purpose is back again and a sense of life, it's really exciting.
Until their new facilities are built, the sisters are using this porticom as their temporary chapel. But over the past 3 years, have never thought about leaving the site.
The congregation was really clear that the sisters wanted to stay in Christchurch, so they've continued their ministry by visiting others in the community.
The earthquake tore down most of their facilities, but not everything was lost. Before their buildings were demolished, valuable possessions were salvaged.
We've saved the stained glass windows, and we've saved also the marble altar, also Stations of the Cross, which are a work of art, but they also have not just historical value, but they also have a sentimental value, I think, to the sisters as well.
The facilities are expected to be completed by 2016, with the sisters being joined by more than 150 staff. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Stay clear of tomorrow's traffic jams with tonight's roading update.
Hello travellers, to help you plan your journey around the central city, here's some tips on how to get around this week. From next week, Antigua Street will be one-way northbound only between Morehouse Ave and Halkett Street. We recommend using Senasive Street and Hagley Ave to continue south. Montreal Street continues with work between Morehouse Ave and Senasive Street, but will remain 2 lanes at all times. And Tuam Street remains one-way eastbound between Colombo Street and Manchester Street. To keep up to date on what's happening on the Central City roads, stay tuned, and in the meantime, visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
And don't forget that traffic updates screen here on CTV at 7, 8 and 9 a.m. and at 12 midday, Monday through Friday. Also, when you check out the Transport for Christchurch website, you'll find a vast amount of information about roadworks and closures outside the CBD. So plenty for you to keep informed. Well, here's your weather forecast for the region.
Kia ora Canterbury, hope you've been keeping warm. Here's your region's weather. First up in Timaru, Temuka and Geraldine, 8. Taking a look now at Methven, Ashburton and also Rakaia there, 8 degrees today. Heading north in Darfield, Leeston and Ralston, hope you kept warm, you hit 8 degrees. And in Lincoln and Christchurch, 8. Over in Akaroa, they had the low of the region on a chilly 5. Taking a look now at North Canterbury, Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley hit 8 today. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Chevy at 8 degrees. And up the top in Kaikoura, slightly cooler on 7. And taking a look at what's in store for tomorrow. In Timaru, mostly fine with sunny periods. Expect some cloud but decreasing southwesterly winds. An overnight low of -1 and a high of 10. In Ashburton, a mix of cloud and increasing sunny periods for your Wednesday, with cold southwesterlies easing during the day, hitting an overnight low of -2 and a high during the day of 10 degrees. In Christchurch, a fine day ahead with sunny periods, increasing and cold winds reducing, an overnight low of 0 and a high of 10 degrees. In Kaikoura, gusty southwesterlies decreasing and cloud breaking slowly during the day, hitting an overnight low of 1 and a high of 9 degrees. And in other areas around the region, in Temuka and Geraldine, a chilly -3 overnight with a high of 10 degrees. In Methven and Rakaia, expect high cloud and a high of 10. In Darfield and Ralston, cloudy skies with a high of 10. Over in Akaroa, an overnight low of 1 and a high of 8 degrees. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, a high of 10 and an overnight low of 0. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot, an overnight low of -2 and a high of 10. And looking ahead for what's in store for Canterbury. Any showers will be clearing and sunny periods increasing on Wednesday. Expect fine and sunny periods and scattered cloud on Thursday with light winds, cold temperatures, frosty mornings and nights. It will change on Friday and Saturday with periods of cloud and maybe a few light showers at times, but mostly dry and some sunny periods as well. Expect cold with moderate to fresh southwesterly winds. Cloud clearing and sunny periods increasing during the day on Sunday, with moderate cold southwesterlies dying out. Fine and sunny on Monday, with high cloud increasing during the day and moderate northeasterlies, but the air still will be cool. And that's all for your region's weather. Do wrap up and keep warm.
And that's CTV News for Tuesday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.